They sharpened their tongues like knives, but they forgot. Blades dull and truth cuts deeper. They came for you with deception, thinking their lies would carve you up and leave you in pieces. But what they failed to realize is that a dull blade can never wound the unbreakable. Their words may have spread fast like wildfire in dry grass, but the rain always comes, and when it does, every false spark will be drowned. They built castles of slander, thinking they were fortresses, but all they did was trap themselves inside crumbling walls of their own making. They lied about you because they feared you. They feared your presence, your power, your truth. Weak people don't attack the weak. They only go after what threatens them. And you are a walking storm, a force they cannot contain. So they tried to silence you the only way cowards know how, through deceit. But here's the thing about storms. You can't stop them with whispers, and you can't outrun them with lies. And now the winds have shifted. Their time is running out, and they know it. The universe never lets injustice go unpaid. The same mouths that spread poison will choke on their own venom. The same hands that threw dirt on your name will one day beg to shake yours. Every falsehood they built against you is a weight tied around their own neck. And the deeper they sink, the louder they scream. Watch how they stumble, how their stories start falling apart. Watch how the people they manipulated begin to question them. Watch how the universe rebalances the scales. You don't have to do a thing. Just keep rising, because the truth isn't in a rush. It moves with precision. And when it arrives, it crushes every false narrative like a tidal wave swallowing a paper boat. That's why they're uneasy. That's why they can't rest. They see you standing strong despite everything they threw at you, and it haunts them. They fear the power of being chosen. You were never meant to blend in, and they know it. That's why they tried so hard to dim your light. They thought if they threw enough shadows, people would forget the sun existed. But darkness has no power where light stands. And your glow, it's blinding. They hear your footsteps, and it terrifies them, because every step you take forward is another reminder that they failed. Every breath you take is proof that their lies didn't break you. Every win you secure is a nail in the coffin of their deception. They tried to erase you, but all they did was make your name impossible to ignore. Let them talk, let them scheme, let them exhaust themselves trying to keep up with the truth. They are running a race they've already lost. And now, chosen ones, it's time to push this message further. Like this video, subscribe and spread the truth. When you do, YouTube signals this message to reach more chosen ones, more warriors who need to hear this. The more we rise, the harder their lies fall, because truth is patient, but when it strikes, it never misses. And now, chosen ones, this is where it gets real. If you've made it this far, it's not by accident. Your spirit knows the truth when it hears it. The ones who tried to bury you, they have no idea what's coming, but you do. So, before we go deeper, show them you're still standing. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a number 77 in the comments, if you know their lies will cost them everything. The more you engage, the further this message spreads to every chosen one who needs to hear it. And now let's break it down step by step. If you're truly chosen, you'll feel it. You won't be able to look away, because what's coming next, it's the part they fear the most. Let's get started. Number 1. They played the game, but the universe holds the rules. They built their throne on deception, but forgot. Foundations made of lies always collapse under the weight of truth. They thought they could manipulate the system, twist reality in their favor, and rewrite your story with their slander. They believed if they spread enough lies, repeated them enough times, and got enough people to believe, it would become truth. But they underestimated one thing: the universe. Because while they were busy rigging the game, bending the rules, and stacking the deck against you, they forgot who keeps the score. Lies move fast, but truth moves with purpose. It doesn't have to chase. It doesn't have to beg to be seen. It waits, then strikes when the time is right. That's what they never saw coming. While they were celebrating their false victories, convincing themselves they had won, the universe was watching. And the universe never forgets. You see, being chosen isn't just about survival. It's about alignment. When you are meant for something greater, the universe shifts in your favor. The same doors they tried to lock behind you, they will be forced to watch them swing open for you. The same people who turned against you, they will come crawling back, choking on the same lies they once believed. Every single attempt to bury you was just another step in your elevation. They thought they were in control. They thought they had power. They mistook their momentary advantage for permanence. But all they did was dig their own graves. Because here's what they never understood. You don't need revenge. You don't need to fight dirty. You don't need to waste energy trying to correct their lies. The universe does that for you. What they put out, they will receive tenfold. What they stole from you will be returned with interest. Karma doesn't move on human time. It moves on divine precision. And that's what haunts them. That's why they can't sleep. That's why no matter how much they lie, how much they slander, they never find peace. Because deep down they know truth is coming for them. They wanted to erase you. But what happens when you try to erase something that's already written into destiny? You fail. And now they're about to learn that the hard way. They see it happening already. The cracks are forming. The whispers are turning against them. The same crowd they used against you, they are turning on them, because lies may entertain for a moment, but truth holds weight. And when the weight of their deception finally comes crashing down, there will be no escape. So let them laugh now. Let them enjoy their illusion of victory. Because when the universe delivers what they earned, there won't be a crowd left to cheer them on. And you won't even have to lift a finger. Just keep rising, keep moving, keep standing in your truth. The system they tried to use against you is now working against them. They just don't know it yet. And when they finally realize, it will be too late. Number 2, lies burn fast, but truth burns forever. They set fire to your name, thinking the flames would consume you, but they forgot. Wildfires only clear the way for stronger roots. They moved quickly, desperate to control the narrative. Lies, after all, are built for speed. They spread like gasoline on dry ground, loud, chaotic, attention-grabbing. And for a moment, it might have looked like they were winning. It might have seemed like their slander had the power to rewrite reality. But what they didn't realize is that truth doesn't panic. Truth doesn't need to run. Truth waits, watches, and builds power in silence. Unlike their flimsy lies, which burn bright and fast before collapsing into ash, truth ages like fine wine, growing richer, stronger, undeniable. They thought they buried you beneath their deception. But the longer truth stays hidden, the more powerful it becomes. They mistook silence for defeat. They assumed that because they were loud, they were right. But volume has never been proof of strength, only desperation. And now the weight of the truth is pressing down on them. The cracks in their story are showing. The same people they manipulated are starting to question, starting to connect the dots, starting to realize they were nothing more than pawns in a dirty game. And when the truth finally rises, it won't just expose them, it will erase them. They built an empire out of illusions, convinced they had won. But truth is the slow-moving avalanche they never saw coming. The higher they climbed on their false pedestal, the further they will fall. This is why they fear you. Because despite everything they did, despite the rumors, the betrayal, the relentless attempts to tear you down, you never collapsed. You never gave them the reaction they wanted. You never broke. And that terrifies them, because deep down they know what's coming. They know that when the truth comes crashing down, it won't just correct their lies. It will crush them completely. And there is nothing they can do to stop it. They can try to deny it. They can try to twist the story one last time. They can scramble, make excuses, play the victim. But it won't matter, because once the truth is revealed, it can't be unheard. It can't be unseen. Their own lies will betray them. The same people they convinced will turn against them. The same weapons they used against you will now be used against them. The longer truth takes to reveal itself, the harder it hits when it does. And when it finally arrives, it will leave no doubt, no escape, no second chances. So let them enjoy their fleeting victory. Let them pretend they are untouchable. Let them laugh, because when the dust settles, only one thing will be left standing, and it won't be them. Number 3. They planted lies, but you were always the soil. They threw poison into your garden, hoping to see you wither. But they forgot. Seeds don't decide what grows. The soil does. They thought words alone had power. They believed that if they scattered enough lies, they could dictate your fate. They planted deceit in every corner, convinced that their slander would take root and choke out everything you were meant to become. But what they never understood is that you were never just the target. You were always the gardener. They could throw anything they wanted at you. Rumors, betrayals, sabotage. But at the end of the day, you control what grows in your life, and their negativity, their attempts to bury you, all they did was fertilize your rise. Because when you're chosen, even your enemies become your stepping stones. Every insult they threw your way, you turned it into wisdom. Every attempt to break you, you turned it into resilience. Every loss they thought would destroy you, you turned it into a lesson. They were playing checkers while you were building an empire. They didn't realize that every hardship they sent your way was only making you stronger. They thought they were breaking you when all they were doing was forcing you to grow deeper roots. And now they have to watch. They have to watch as you rise despite everything. They have to witness how the lies they planted didn't produce the outcome they wanted. Instead of seeing you crumble, they see you thriving. And nothing haunts them more than knowing they were the reason you became unstoppable. They set traps for you, thinking they were clever, but they forgot you weren't just surviving, you were learning. While they wasted energy plotting against you, you were mastering the art of turning every setback into a setup. You took every stone they threw and built a fortress. And now they're the ones trapped because the seeds they planted are no longer in your garden. They've overgrown in their own lives. The lies they spread, now they're choking on them. The games they played, now they're stuck in them. The difference between you and them was never luck. It was mindset. You knew the truth. Only you decide what takes root in your life. So let them watch. Let them witness the power they tried to steal from you. Let them see how every attempt to tear you down only built you up because the harvest is coming. And when it does, only one of you will be left standing, and it won't be them. Number 4, they wear smiles, but their souls are screaming. They laughed while they lied, but the echoes of their own betrayal will be the lullabies that keep them awake at night. They walk around as if nothing happened, pretending their hands are clean. They smile, they celebrate, they convince the world they've moved on, as if the weight of their deceit doesn't exist. But no one escapes what they've done. Not in this life, not in any. Because guilt is not a shadow you can outrun. It's a ghost that follows them everywhere. They thought destroying your name would bring them peace. They believed that, if they convinced enough people of their lies, it would become their truth. But lies don't erase reality. They only delay the consequences. And the consequences, they're coming for them like a storm they'll never be able to outrun. They might fool the world, but they can't fool the universe. They might distract themselves, fill their days with noise, run from silence, but they can't escape their own mind. Because when the world quiets down, when the distractions fade, when the mask slips, when they are alone in the dark with nothing but their thoughts, that's when it begins. That's when the weight of what they've done crushes them. The same lies they used to turn people against you, they hear them in their own voices now. The same betrayals they laughed about, they see them playing in their minds like a movie they can't pause. They are haunted by the ghosts of their own deception, and no amount of pretending will save them. You see, justice doesn't operate on human time. It doesn't rush. It doesn't announce its arrival. It waits. It waits until they are comfortable, until they believe they got away with it, until they have built their fragile illusion so high they forget it was made of glass. Then it shatters. And when it does, they will finally understand what real suffering feels like. They never feared hurting you. They never hesitated to betray you. They thought their actions carried no weight, that slander was just words, that deception would never come back to them. But what they forgot is this: nothing is free. Every lie, every act of treachery, every false narrative they created to destroy you, it all has a price. And the cost is sleepless nights, anxious days, and a slow, inescapable descent into their own destruction. They see it happening already. That's why they can't sit still. That's why they constantly need validation, why they desperately need people around them, why they can't be alone with themselves. Because when they are, they hear it. The voice of truth creeping in, reminding them of everything they've done, and the universe is making sure they feel every second of it. They don't get to move forward. They don't get to live in peace. They don't get to escape what they set in motion. Because while they were busy trying to destroy you, they unknowingly destroyed themselves. They might not show it. They might still put on a good act, but look closer. See the exhaustion in their eyes, the tension in their body, the unease in their movements. See how they fidget, how they overcompensate, how they desperately try to maintain the illusion. That's not happiness. That's fear. Because they know what's coming. They know the walls are closing in. They know the truth is catching up. And when it does, there will be no mercy. So let them laugh. Let them pretend. Let them act as if they have no regrets. Because the louder they fake their peace, the deeper their suffering actually is. And when their day of reckoning finally comes, you won't even need to lift a finger. Number 5. Lies are just shadows, and shadows can't survive the light. They cast a shadow over your name, thinking darkness could erase you. But they forgot shadows don't exist without light, and the light is yours. They thought they had the perfect plan. They whispered in the ears of the weak, spread rumors like a disease, and painted you as something you're not. They moved in the dark, hoping you'd never see what was happening. But there's one fatal flaw in their strategy. Lies are only shadows, and shadows don't last. A shadow may distort the truth for a moment, stretching, twisting, making reality look different than it is. But no matter how long it lingers, it can't make the truth disappear. Because when the light hits, the shadow is gone. That's why they're afraid. That's why they work so hard to keep the illusion alive. Because they know the second the truth shines through, their entire deception collapses. Look at how desperate they are. Look at how much effort they put into keeping their lies alive. It's exhausting, isn't it? They can't afford to stop. They have to keep spinning their web, feeding it, reinforcing it. Because the moment they slip up, everything unravels. And it will, because it always does. No one can outrun the truth forever. No lie can hold up against time. No shadow can survive when the light finally hits. They thought they had control, they thought they had power. But all they really had was a temporary illusion. And now that illusion is cracking. That's why they watch you. That's why they obsess over you even after all they've done. Because you haven't fallen, you haven't crumbled, you're still moving, still rising, still proving them wrong without even trying. And that terrifies them because they know what's coming. They can feel it. The same people who once believed their lies, they're starting to question. The same ones who turned on you, they're beginning to realize they were played. And the more they see, the weaker the shadow becomes. This is how it always ends. Lies don't age well. The truth is patient, waiting just long enough for their own words to betray them. And when it does, it will expose everything. No escape, no excuses, no more running. They will try to shift the blame. They will try to rewrite history. They will act like they were misunderstood, like they never meant to cause harm. But it won't work. Because by then, the light will be too bright and their shadows will be gone. So don't waste energy fighting their lies. Don't chase the shadows they throw. Just keep standing in your truth, because every day that passes the light grows stronger, and soon there will be nowhere left for them to hide. Number 6. Some people are their own punishment. They thought they escaped karma, but they never realized they are already living in their sentence. They betrayed you, lied on your name, threw dirt on you, hoping it would stick. And for a moment, you might have felt that urge to strike back, to make them feel the weight of their own actions, to remind them who they messed with. But let me tell you something. Chosen one. Some people aren't even worth your revenge. Why? Because they are already suffering. You don't see it, but trust me, they feel it. They walk around pretending they won, acting like they got away with it. But look closer. Watch their life. Watch their patterns. They are never at peace. They can't hold on to anything good. The same deceit they used on you, they use on others. The same manipulation, the same backstabbing, it follows them. They live in constant paranoia, always looking over their shoulder. Always afraid that the next person will do to them what they did to you. That's their punishment. They thought hurting you would elevate them. But all they did was dig their own pit. And now they're stuck in it. You don't have to do anything. No plotting, no schemes, no wasting your energy trying to bring them down. They're doing it to themselves because karma isn't some myth. It's a system. It moves in silence. It watches. It calculates. And when it strikes, it does so with perfect precision. But here's the thing. The universe doesn't need your help. Your enemies will suffer in ways you could never imagine. Not because you wished it, but because that's the price of their own actions. They betrayed someone pure. They bit the hand that never harmed them. They took advantage of someone who was only ever real. And real ones are protected. Look around. Have you noticed how their life isn't as perfect as they pretend? Have you noticed how they can't keep good relationships? how they always seem to be in some kind of chaos. That's not a coincidence. You were the blessing in their life and they threw it away. Now they get to watch from the sidelines as you rise higher than they ever imagined. And that's why they're still watching you. They'll never admit it, but they can't stop checking in. Can't stop lurking, hoping you've fallen, praying that somehow you're still hurting. But every time they see you standing strong, moving forward, untouched by their lies, it eats them alive because they lost, not you. They lost your energy. They lost access to your presence. They lost the opportunity to stand beside you as you elevate. And now they're stuck with themselves. And that's worse than anything you could ever do to them. So let them be. Let them stew in their own misery. Let them sit in the mess they made. The best revenge is winning, succeeding, thrive, or they fade into irrelevance. Because you were never their equal. You were always above them. And now they finally see it. Number 7, time is the great unmasker, and their day is coming. They wore masks to hide their deceit, but time peels away all disguises. And when the mask falls, so does their entire illusion. Lies are fragile things. They demand maintenance, constant adjustments, endless retellings. Every time they repeat their slander, they have to tweak the details, patch up the holes, make sure the story still makes sense. Because deception isn't self-sustaining. It's exhausting. It takes work to keep up a lie. But the truth stands on its own. They thought they could fool the world forever. They thought their mask was unbreakable. But time is the great unmasker. It has no allegiance to falsehoods, no loyalty to illusions. It exposes everything, whether they're ready for it or not. At first, their lies might have been convincing. At first, people may have believed them, but that's the thing about facades. They always crack. No one can play pretend forever. No one can keep their stories straight when they were built on a foundation of nothing. And slowly, piece by piece, their own words will betray them. They will slip. They will contradict themselves. They will grow careless. The people they once manipulated will start noticing the inconsistencies. The same crowd that cheered them on will be the first to turn on them. Because there's one thing about those who entertain gossip and slander. They are never loyal. The ones who helped spread their lies, they will abandon them the moment it stops serving them. They will watch from a distance as the mask falls and the truth spills out. And when that moment comes, no one will be there to save them. They thought they had control. They thought they could rewrite reality. But time has no master. And now time is turning against them. The whispers have already begun. The people they fooled are starting to question. They are starting to see the cracks. The illusion is starting to flicker. And once a lie starts falling apart, there is no saving it. It collapses under its own weight. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to prove a thing. Just wait. Because when their time runs out, it won't be quiet. It will be loud, public, humiliating. The universe will ensure that their exposure is just as grand as their deception. Every lie they told will come back. Every falsehood they spread will return. And every eye that once looked at you with doubt will now turn on them in disgust. And they will stand there naked before the truth with nowhere to run. That is their fate. That is the destiny they chose the moment they built their power on deception. So let them laugh now. Let them pretend they are untouchable. Let them enjoy their illusion while they still can. Because when the mask finally falls, they will wish they had never spoken your name. Number 8. A stained reputation can be cleaned. A rotten soul cannot. They threw mud at your name thinking it would stick forever, but they forgot. Rain washes away the dirt while rot only spreads from within. They were obsessed with destroying your reputation. They knew they could never break your spirit, never match your strength. So they attacked what they thought mattered most, your name. They spread rumors, twisted stories, and turned people against you, hoping you would crumble under the weight of their deception. But here's what they never understood. Reputation is a shadow, fleeting, shifting, controlled by outside forces. Character is the foundation beneath it all. And unlike shadows, it doesn't change with the light. They could manipulate how people see you, but they could never change who you are. And now, the illusion is wearing off. The longer time passes, the more people start to question. The same ones who believed their lies are starting to realize the truth. Because a lie can only survive as long as it goes unchallenged. But reality always finds a way to break through. They thought they could rewrite your story. erase your legacy, make the world turn against you. But instead, they exposed themselves because every attack they made, every false accusation, every underhanded move, it all revealed more about them than it ever did about you. While they were so busy trying to make you look bad, they showed the world exactly who they are. And what do people remember in the end? Not whispers, not temporary scandals, not staged betrayals. They remember who stood firm when the storm came. They remember who kept their integrity when others folded. They remember who walked through fire and didn't burn. That's why you have already won. Because while they gambled their own integrity just to ruin you, you never had to lose yourself in the process. And now they are stuck with the consequences. Reputation is borrowed. It can be stolen, smeared, or manipulated. But character is earned. It's not something they can take from you, not something they can twist with lies. And that's why they're scared. Because as their lies unravel, as their schemes collapse, people won't just see the truth about you, they'll see the truth about them. And that's their greatest fear. You survived the worst of their attacks. Now they have to survive the aftermath. They have to watch as people start questioning. They have to endure the doubt creeping into every conversation. They have to deal with the sinking realization that no matter how much they tried to bury you, you are still here, still rising, still thriving, still unshaken, and them, they are forever marked. Their names will be attached to deception, manipulation, and betrayal. Their so-called victory will be remembered as nothing more than a desperate lie. So let them talk, let them scramble, let them panic. Because once time does its work, only one thing will be left standing, and it won't be them. Number 9, they beg for approval. You were built for greatness. They gather crowds to feel powerful, but you walk alone and they still fear your presence. They need validation like air. They need an audience to survive. Their lies, their slander, their endless attempts to drag your name through the mud, it was never about you. It was about them, about their own fragile ego, about their desperate need to be seen, heard, and believed. Because without a crowd to clap for their deception, they are nothing. That's why they hate you. That's why they fear you. Because you don't seek validation. You don't need applause. You don't need a panel of fools to approve of you. You exist in your own lane, and your presence alone is enough to shake them. They slandered you, hoping you would defend yourself, react, break, beg for people to believe you. They expected you to crumble under the weight of their falsehoods. But when you didn't, when you stood tall, silent, unbothered, that's when they started to panic. Because the truth is, their power only exists when you engage. Their lies only live as long as you acknowledge them. And when you refuse to fight for their approval, when you refuse to play their game, you took away the only thing keeping them relevant. Now watch how they scramble. Watch how they grow restless, watching you from the shadows. Watch how they double down, how they throw even more lies into the fire, hoping, praying that something sticks. But it won't, because you've already won. You are chosen. You were never meant to blend in, never meant to seek permission, never meant to beg for a seat at their table. While they desperately fight for attention, you are outgrowing every space they tried to keep you trapped in. They wanted you to feel small. They wanted you to need their validation, but they never understood a chosen one doesn't need permission to exist. That's what haunts them, because they still need the approval of others to feel whole. They still need confirmation that their lies are working. They still need an audience to justify their actions. But you don't need any of it. You just keep rising. And no matter what they do, they can't stop it. They can whisper, they can shout, they can gather their little crowds and spin their fake narratives. But in the end, it doesn't matter, because while they waste time chasing validation, you're building something real. You're evolving. You're growing. You're moving in silence. And silence is the one thing they can't control. They don't just hate you for who you are, they hate you for who you're becoming. Because while they remain stuck, desperate, drowning in their own need to be believed, you are moving forward. Untouchable, unstoppable, undeniable. And the best part, you never needed their approval to do it. Number 10, the trap they set was always meant for them. They wove a web of lies, thinking they were the masters of manipulation, but they forgot. The more a spider spins, the closer it gets to trapping itself. They spoke with confidence, thinking their deception was airtight. They believed if they just repeated their lies enough times, people would accept them as truth. They mistook manipulation for power, forgetting that every lie is a debt and the universe always collects. The problem with liars is that they talk too much. They don't know when to stop. At first, their words may seem calculated, their false stories well-structured. But deception is fragile. It demands constant maintenance. The more they speak, the more contradictions arise. The more they fabricate, the more tangled their own web becomes. And now the walls are closing in on them. People are starting to notice the cracks. The same ones who once believed their lies are beginning to ask questions. The stories don't line up. The timeline doesn't make sense. Their so-called truth is riddled with inconsistencies, and now they are scrambling. They thought they had the upper hand, but they forgot the golden rule of deception. The more you lie, the more you have to remember. And they can't keep up. They are exhausting themselves, trying to hold their fake story together, but it's slipping through their fingers like sand. One contradiction leads to another, and before they even realize it, their own words have turned against them. This is how the universe works. You don't have to fight them. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to beg people to see the truth. Just watch. Watch as their own words become the chains that drag them down. Watch as the same people who once defended them now start questioning them. Watch as they panic, trying to rewrite their lies in real time, only to expose themselves even more. This is the part they never saw coming. They thought they could control the narrative forever. They thought they could silence you with slander and deceit. But truth doesn't need a microphone. It doesn't need an army. It just waits. Because when the time is right, it strikes with precision. And when that happens, their own words will be their undoing. The same voices that were once so loud, so confident in their lies, will be reduced to whispers. They will stumble over their own contradictions. Their allies will turn against them, because no one likes to be lied to, and the ones who tried to destroy you will destroy themselves. They played the game, but they forgot one thing: lies expire. Truth is forever. And now the countdown has begun. Number 11. Your success is the death of their lies. They wanted you broken, crawling, defeated. But every step you take forward is another nail in the coffin of their deception. They thought they had you. They poured everything into your downfall: slander, betrayal, manipulation. They whispered in the ears of those around you, twisting reality, turning people against you. They wanted you to fold under the weight of their lies. They needed you to break because your strength was a direct threat to their weakness. But here's the part they never saw coming. You didn't just survive. You thrived. Nothing destroys an enemy faster than watching the person they tried to destroy rise beyond their reach. They wanted you to be stuck in the same pit they dwell in, trapped in the same cycle of bitterness, consumed by the same misery that eats them alive every single day. But you left them behind, and that's what haunts them. Your success is a mirror, and when they look into it, they don't see you. They see every single way they failed. They see their schemes crumbling. They see the lies they told unraveling. They see proof that nothing they did could stop you. They called you weak, but here you are standing stronger than ever. They called you a failure, but your wins scream louder than their slander ever could. And that is their karma. They thought karma would look like instant revenge, like some dramatic downfall, like the universe would strike them down in one swift moment. But karma works in silence, and the loudest form of karma is your elevation. Because while they're still watching, still obsessing, still plotting, you are building, you are rising, you are moving in ways they can't understand, making moves they never expected, reaching levels they never thought you could reach. And it's eating them alive. Because now they don't just have to live with their own lies. They have to live with the reality that they lost. They lost the battle they started. They lost control over the narrative. They lost the power they thought they had over you. And the best part, you never had to fight them. You never had to get revenge. You never had to play their game. All you did was keep growing. And now every single time your name is mentioned, every time someone speaks about you, every success you achieve, it reminds them that they failed. Your growth is the very thing that punishes them. Because while they remain bitter, stuck and rotting in their own negativity, you are proof that everything they did was a waste. They wasted their time. They wasted their energy. They wasted their own reputation trying to destroy yours. And now they are forced to watch, helpless, powerless, defeated. So let them watch. Let them sit in the misery they created for themselves. Let them feel the weight of every failed attempt to bring you down. Because nothing, absolutely nothing, will ever hurt them more than watching you become everything they swore you would never be. Number 12. They thought no one saw, but eyes were watching in silence. They spun their web of lies in the dark, but forgot shadows don't hide the truth. They only delay its exposure. They thought they were smart. They thought they were untouchable. They believed that if they whispered their lies behind closed doors, if they spread their poison in secrecy, no one would ever know. They assumed the world would take their words as fact, that their slander would seal your fate. But what they never accounted for is the silence. Because, while they were busy, performing while they were twisting narratives and making themselves look like the victims, people were watching quietly, patiently, observing their every move. See, not everyone is fooled by deception. Some people don't speak, but they listen. They don't react, but they remember. They might not have defended you openly at the time, but they saw everything. And when the moment comes, they will step forward. Because the truth always has witnesses, and when the tides turn, when the truth begins to rise, those who stayed silent will become the loudest voices. The same people they counted on to believe their lies will be the ones to expose them. That's what terrifies them. They wanted to destroy you in silence, but they failed to realize that silence doesn't mean absence. Every lie they told left a trail. Every manipulation had an audience. Every false accusation planted seeds of doubt, not against you, but against them. And now the weight of their deception is pressing down on them. The mask is slipping. The fake smiles, the rehearsed stories, the carefully crafted image they built, it's all starting to fall apart. Because the truth isn't just coming, it's coming with receipts. And when it does, they will stand alone. No crowd to back them up, no army of believers, no sympathy left to beg for. Just them, exposed, vulnerable, defenseless against the very same system they used to attack you. And you won't have to say a word because the truth will have witnesses. And when the moment is right, they will speak. They will confirm everything. They will bring the very proof your enemies thought would never surface. This is what keeps them up at night. They thought they had control. They thought their version of the story would be the only one that mattered. But they underestimated the power of time, the power of patience, and the power of truth. And now the walls they built to protect their lies are closing in. Their own words are turning against them. The people they manipulated are questioning them. The ones who blindly followed are waking up, because truth never stands alone. It always has a witness. They thought they got away with it, but the universe saw, the truth saw, and so did people in silence. And when the time comes, they won't be able to escape the eyes that have been watching all along. Number 13. They thought your silence was surrender. Now it's their sentence. They filled the air with noise, thinking they could drown you out. But they forgot silence isn't weakness. It's the sound of something unstoppable building its power. They mocked your stillness. They mistook your refusal to engage as defeat. In their arrogance, they believed that the louder they shouted, the more people would believe them. They thought if they repeated the lies enough times, twisted the story, made you the villain, the world would turn against you. But while they were busy running their mouths, you were sharpening your mind. While they wasted breath on deception, you were conserving your energy. While they played checkers, you were mastering the board. They never realized your silence was never surrender, it was strategy. Because truth doesn't need a stage. Truth doesn't need to fight for attention. It just waits, and when the time is right, it moves with precision, destroying everything in its path. That's why they're panicking now. The same people who once laughed at your silence are now terrified of what it means. Because silence holds weight. It lingers, it makes people question, it makes people wonder. If you were guilty, why didn't you fight back like they expected? If you were wrong, why didn't you scramble to defend yourself? Why didn't you shout over them? Play their game, stoop to their level? Because you never needed to. You knew the universe was handling it. You knew time would expose them better than words ever could. And now it's happening. Their words are catching up to them. The lies they once spoke so boldly are turning into whispers of doubt. The people who once believed them, they're seeing the cracks. They're asking the questions. They're realizing they were manipulated, and the silence they once mocked, it's now the loudest thing in the room. They underestimated you. They thought their noise could erase your presence. But you don't need noise to be powerful. You never did, because when truth speaks, it doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be undeniable. And now they have nowhere left to hide. They burned all their energy trying to destroy you. They exhausted themselves building an illusion. They ran their mouths dry, convinced that if they just kept talking, kept performing, they could keep their lies alive. But the truth doesn't need their permission to exist. And now, while they scramble for damage control, while they try to shift the narrative one last time, you stand untouched, unaffected, unbothered, because you knew this day would come. You knew their words would eventually betray them. You knew their own desperation would expose them. You knew that silence, your silence, was never the absence of power. It was proof of it. And now they have no choice but to hear what they fear most: nothing. Number 40. They dug a grave with their words. Now they're falling in. They thought their words would bury you, but the only grave they dug was their own. They spoke with confidence, weaving lies like a spider spins a web, fast, calculated, and meant to trap you. They assumed that if they repeated the same falsehoods enough times, if they got enough people to believe, it would become reality. They slandered, they spread rumors, they tried to turn the world against you. But what they didn't realize is words are like seeds, and the ones they planted in deception, they're now reaping in destruction. Every lie they told, every twisted version of the truth, every calculated smear, it all built up, stacking like bricks in the walls of their own downfall. They thought they were crafting a perfect story, but all they did was construct their own trap. Because here's what they never understood: lies are temporary, but consequences are permanent. They had the advantage for a moment. Lies move fast. They travel light and they gather attention. But they don't last. They burn out. They collapse under their own weight, and when they do, the people who once believed them start asking questions. The ones who stood by them start pulling away. The foundation crumbles beneath them, and suddenly they have nowhere left to stand. They thought they were in control. They thought their deception gave them power. But power built on lies is an illusion, and illusions always fade. Now they're choking on their own words. They see it happening, their grip slipping, their narrative breaking apart, their own lies turning against them. The same words they once used to destroy you are now exposing them. The same people they used to manipulate are waking up, realizing they were nothing more than pawns in a dirty game. And you never had to lift a finger, because the universe doesn't let betrayal go unpaid. It keeps receipts, it watches, it balances the scales. And right now they're paying for what they did. Their lies were never about truth. They were about fear. They feared your power. They feared your presence. They feared what would happen if people saw you for who you really are. So they tried to rewrite your story before you had a chance to tell it yourself. But here's the thing about truth: it doesn't need permission to exist. And now it's tearing down everything they built. They thought they had buried you, but they forgot that the ground they stood on was cracking beneath them. They dug so deep into deception, they never realized they were the ones standing at the edge of the pit. And now they're the ones falling. So let them struggle. Let them scramble for excuses. Let them claw at the walls, desperate to climb back up. It's too late. Because when the truth finally comes crashing down, there's no way out. Number 15. The more they spoke, the more they exposed themselves. They ran their mouths to bury you, but in the end, they only unearthed their own guilt. At first, they thought they were winning. They talked and talked, convinced that their words had power. They twisted the truth, manipulated the story, and spread lies like wildfire, hoping the smoke would hide their own darkness. But what they failed to realize is this: the more you talk, the more you reveal. Lies demand maintenance. They require effort, constant adjustments, endless explanations. And the more they tried to keep their falsehoods alive, the more contradictions they created. The same people who once believed them, they're starting to notice the cracks. They're seeing the inconsistencies, the desperation in their voices, the way their story keeps changing, because that's the thing about deception. It eventually turns on itself. They wanted to control the narrative, but the more they spoke, the clearer it became they were the villains all along. They thought if they talked over you, if they spoke loud enough, they could erase you. But all they did was shine a spotlight on their own lies. And now they can't escape their own words. The same mouth that tried to destroy you is now destroying them. The more they fight, the deeper they sink. The louder they scream, the more people see through them. They are their own undoing. And you never had to do a thing. You let them expose themselves. You let them dig their own grave, and now the weight of their own words is crushing them. Because in the end, truth doesn't need to shout, it only needs time. And now the truth stands tall, while their lies crumble to dust. They thought they could bury you with deception, but all they did was trap themselves. The universe is already moving, setting the scales right, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. Chosen ones, it's time to rise. If you know their slander will cost them everything, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop the number 77 in the comments to confirm their downfall. Share this message. Let every chosen one hear it. Because the louder they lied, the harder the truth will hit.